Hello, my name's Elspeth Lindner and I'm a member of the Pleasantville Garden Club, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about the fall garden cleanup. I think October and early November are great times to be out in the garden. There's still plenty of colour to enjoy, the roses and the shrubs and the perennials still flowering like these Japanese anemone and verbena and gaura in my garden, and even annuals too. But there's also plenty of work to do, continuing with this year's efforts while planning ahead for next. Perennials can be divided, like this clump of Astrantia and this big mat of Veronica, which are going to make several plants. The ground stays warm well into November, so it's a great time to be planting, either plants we've grown or divided ourselves, or else bargains we might have picked up from nurseries, which often have sales this time of the year. Seeds can be sown too, especially from our plants. This Echinopsis is seeding, so I'll take the seed and I'll scatter them around and have plants newly next year. This Verbascum hasn't gone to seed yet, but when it does, I can do the same, either gather them or else put them in an envelope and sow them in the spring. New beds can be dug and planted now, and in the meantime there's so much cleanup still to do, the deadheading, weeding and cutting back. The saying is, if it's brown, cut it down, and that's especially true when you can already see there's new growth at the bottom of a plant. With this Helenium, it's still flowering, but at the base there's green growth, so when it's finished, I'll cut back right down low to the ground, confident that there will be a plant next year. If it's green, you can think about leaving it till the spring. With shrubs, you can do a bit of gentle pruning and shaping now, like with these Caryopterises, which look a bit ragged when they've flowered, so I just tidy them up into a neater shape. But if you're unsure when and how to prune your shrubs, it's easy to check online about whether they flower on old or new wood, which is the difference really. If you're in any doubt, my rule is to wait for the new buds in the spring, and that'll tell you what to do. With roses, I follow the rules I learned in England, which is basically to do 2 rose prunings a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. The fall one is basically to limit wind damage. So if your roses look leggy, like this one, I'd take off the longer branches when the blooming is over and make a more compact shape, so that when the wind does blow, it won't rock the bush and loosen the roots. Then in the spring, it'll be time to cut much harder to low, outward-facing new growth. But don't prune everything. The pollinating insects and the bees need winter protection, and they find it in stems and foliage, and the birds need seeds and berries, and the landscape just looks more interesting with shapes left in it. So for example, I don't cut back the grasses and I leave the seed heads like on this Joe pieweed. Lastly, just step back for a moment and think objectively about your garden. Are there gaps? Are there places where plants have failed but they've thrived somewhere else? Should they be moved? Should things be removed? Now's a great time to rethink the summer just gone and make some notes and plans for the year to follow. For more information, check out our website, pleasantvillegardenclub.org, or come to our monthly meetings.